Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy. Passion in sports is why we all love it. It's if you just won a game and everybody walked off the field and it was silent and everybody left, like that would suck. We love this because there's energy involved. There's passion involved. And sometimes logic gets thrown by the wayside because there's just so much exuberance or disgust. And it's why we love sports, because it stirs something up in you. If that didn't exist, I wouldn't have this job. So passion is a really, really good thing. I love when players play with passion. I like when full stadiums exude that passion. It's a very, very good thing. But there's a downside to it. And it's when things aren't going so well. And it's just not, it becomes toxic, right? It's just part of it. It's that way in LSU. It's that way in Alabama. It's that way with the Atlanta Braves. It's that way with the New York Giants. It's that way with Real Madrid. I can't speak much to soccer, but you understand the point I'm getting at. And so I'm not here to tell you like what's right and what's wrong and how to feel. I'm just going to tell you how I feel about some of the things that happen when things go wrong. You can say, Hunt, that's on the money. You're spot on. Perfect assessment. You can say, Hunt, you're an idiot. Shut up. Either way, just feel the way you want to feel. I'm just going to lay out my side of things here. One thing that happens a lot when things aren't going very well, and trust me, I pay attention to a lot of message boards, a lot of podcasts, different media members, Twitter feeds all over the place. This happens everywhere. Is there's a disdain for the way questions are answered in press conferences. Post-game press conferences, Monday press conferences, teleconferences, the fan base is just totally unhappy with the way the press conference goes. Either the media is tossing softballs and carrying the water for the team, or these answers are totally unsatisfactory. It's a thought about the press conferences. Here's how I feel about press conferences. I've sat in hundreds of them. Press conferences can't solve anything. Oftentimes, press conferences just contain outright lies about injuries, about the ability of other teams, about the ability of players. Like, I know for a fact, based on discussions that happened 4 years ago, when LSU was about to play Oklahoma, LSU's coaching staff knew they were going to beat Oklahoma by 1,000 points. They knew that Oklahoma had no chance to go out there and stop them. Do you know what was said in press conferences leading up to that game? We're playing a heck of a ball team. Oklahoma's well coached. They've won a ton of games. It's an honor to take the field with it. I mean, and none of them felt that way. This is going to be a bloodbath. I told you a million times about Les Miles out and out lying about injuries. None of that has to do with losing a game. And I'm just telling you, those are just out and out lies. And oftentimes in a press conference, guys are coached on what to say and how to answer questions. And you as the fan, I don't think, really care about press conference answers as long as your team's winning. You never have a 35-point win, but in that 35-point win, your left guard really struggled. And the coach asks, yeah, we're playing great on the offensive line. Everything's awesome. And you go, well, that's not true. The left guard's terrible. I only sense this reaction when a loss happens. Hold the coach accountable for losing games. Hold the coach accountable for the direction of the program, not for an unsatisfactory answer. Do you want the coach to come up there after a loss? Since everyone knows we're in a situation in football where things didn't go well on Saturday, but let's just flip it to baseball so we're not talking about actual specifics with this current team. Let's just flip it to baseball. Say you had your starting pitcher went out there and issued 6 walks, hit 2 guys, and 5 of them came around to score. Do you want your coach to come up there and go, the pitching coach doesn't know how to really teach mechanics, and this guy choked. He got out there and he choked. I told him on Thursday that he was going to do great, and that was a lie. He was awful, and we got to get better. We probably can't put him out there. Like, do you want to go that far? I mean, certainly in a situation where you pinch hit for a guy and the next guy comes up and he's hitting 050 against right-handers and he strikes out, I guess you could get the coach to say, yeah, with that one, I'd like to go a different direction. But at that point, you're telling the kid that you don't trust him to get the job done. Like, the point being in these hypotheticals is like, you don't need to diminish kids' performance in the press conference. You can't fix anything. But in my opinion, this is, again, my opinion, I don't think you owe the fans an answer in the press conference. You owe a better performance the next time out. Go to practice and fix it. So all this upheaval about the press conferences, I just don't get. Because press conferences, and even though we work in the soundbite business and we talk about them every week and we're going to do it in the next segment, oftentimes answers are hollow. Because they're not going to divulge game plan stuff. They're not going to disparage kids. They're not going to talk about how bad the other team is at this or that. All that stuff is telling half-truths or just out-and-out lies. That's the nature of a lot of press conferences. So that's how I feel about that. The other thing that comes up is coaches' salaries. And this is what I have to say about that angle when fans take it. Well, you're paying this coach such and such. He should produce this. I hear it all the time. You hear it in College Station. You've heard it here in Baton Rouge this week. You hear it all over the place. Here's how I feel about that. The coach's salary only comes up when teams lose. I don't necessarily hear a lot of fans clamoring for an 8% raise for the offensive coordinator when you score 60 points in a game. I don't see a team whose over-under in Vegas is 8 that wins 10, and the fan base goes, you really got to slide that head coach's salary up 21%. Like, they need to adjust the salary for the performance. We're not paying him enough. I don't hear it on that side. You only hear it when, well, we're paying $100 million. This is what we should get. And here's my thought on it. The expectation at LSU for the football coach is the same. It's the same if it's Les Miles. It's the same if it's Ed Ogeron. It's the same if it's Brian Kelly. It's the same if Les is making 7. It's the same if Brian Kelly's making 10. The expectation is you put an excellent product on the field. You have an opportunity every year to win your division at this point, moving forward, the Southeastern Conference, compete for a playoff and compete for championships, and every once in a while you need to win one. That would not change if Brian Kelly left for the 49ers next year and you brought in a coach and you paid him $4 million a year. You would not, in my opinion, as a fan, say, well, we're only paying him $4 million. Just make sure you win 9 games and don't lose to Mississippi State. The expectation has nothing to do with the dollars. The expectation is because of the program and the resources and the fan base and the recent tradition. That's where the expectation comes from. If Jay Johnson left for the Yankees, that ain't happening. The guy loves college baseball. But if he left for the Yankees and you hired the next coach and you got him for $600,000 and he lost in the regional and the next year came back and won the regional but got swept in the supers and they didn't score, you wouldn't go, oh, well, they're only paying him $400,000. It's fine. They were paying Paul more than that. That has nothing to do with it. The only time money enters the discussion, in my opinion, is if you've put yourself in a position where the program is unsalvageable and you can't change it because there's too much money at stake. That's when I'm okay to talk about money. Not after you lose a football game 55-48 or whatever it was, and then you come back and say, well, he's $100 million. You got to do better than that. Not to me. The expectation is the expectation, no matter what money is involved. This is the same talking point I had when LSU hired Brian Kelly and Florida hired Billy Napier. And you got to, we got to decide which one's better. You got to look over the next 5 years and see who got the better coach. No, I don't care what Florida does. The expectation doesn't change in Baton Rouge based on what happens in Gainesville. If Billy Napier wins 3 national championships in the next 3 years and Brian Kelly wins 1, I'm not going to look at this over the next 3 years and go, well, this was a disaster. They won 3 and we only got 1. I would go, God, that's awesome. We got a national championship. By the same token, if Billy Napier wins 5 games a year for the next 3 games and Brian Kelly wins 8 6-8 and none of that's any good, I wouldn't go, well, thank God we were better than Florida. I don't care what Florida does. It's all that does what LSU does. These are just two talking points that I just don't have. I have strong opinions of my own on them. I don't care what a coach says in a press conference. Just go fix it and win. I don't get mad when Paul Maneri says we got to catch that ball at first base. I don't get mad when Les Miles just out and out lies and says everything's awesome. I don't care what you say at the press conference. Go win. And it's not my money, so I don't care how much we pay a coach. At LSU, whether you're making $10 million a year, $4 million a year, or $16 million a year, you have the same goals. It is not an investment in a sliding scale. The only time, in my opinion, money comes into play here is if you put yourself in a position that you have to make a change and you can't do it because of money. And LSU is nowhere near that. Not even close. Not even close. So again, going back to the base of the conversation, passion is awesome in sports. And people that have opinions that are like mine and that aren't like mine have passion. And that's what makes this place awesome and makes sports awesome as a whole. You can think about it whichever way you want. That's how I'm going to approach it. They need to fix the defense. I don't care how much the coordinator makes. Do a better job on Saturday. If you win, say whatever you want. You lose, say whatever you want in the press conference. Fix it. And that's LSU's chore right now, is to get the defense fixed. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.